Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. I had always been rather lazy at home, but here I was, feeling more useful and actually enjoying it. Imagine that. By now, I realized that everything I had learned would typically be considered strictly a girl's domain, but I didn't mind. I was much more at peace and enjoying all the lovely things Aunt Clara had taught me, as well as the soft, pleasant clothing she had gotten for me. Wearing all this pretty clothing was having a significant effect on my mind. I genuinely enjoyed it and wondered if I could give it up when my parents returned. I absolutely loved my new pumps. They made me feel so much more grown up. On December 5th, Pearl Harbor Day, I reflected on that infamous day in history. As young as I was, I couldn't understand why the Japanese had done that to us. I was glad we were friends again, though. It's silly to hold a grudge forever. With Christmas approaching, I had already bought Aunt Clara a gift I thought she would like, a matching set of ceramic necklace and earrings. She had similar ones, so I hoped she would appreciate them. I had no idea how extravagant my Christmas would be. I came downstairs in my satin nightie with a bow on the left shoulder, wearing mules and a housecoat. Soon after, Aunt Clara had me trying on all sorts of things. She instructed me to go back upstairs, put on a matching pair of panties and a chemise, and come back down. I think she got me a little bit of everything: slacks, shoes, hose, underwear, shirts, earrings, chains, and bracelets. That was just the first pile. I noticed that the shirts buttoned the same way hers did, so I asked her if they were really shirts. "Well, no, dear. They are blouses, but your chest isn't really suited for shirts anymore. You must have noticed how nice your chest looks in your nighties and underwear. You're still growing. You need more room, and blouses are made with extra room in the chest. You do seem to have done some lovely growing there, honey." Boy, have I ever, Aunt Clara. I just can't understand it. I feel so flabby, it's like I actually have breasts or something. The night you gave me the pretty shoes, I imagined how this chest would look in a satin and lace bra. Isn't that wild? Not so wild, dear. Perhaps you should treat them like breasts and see how you feel about it, she suggested. Why not open that blue box over there? Oh my. Matching panties and bras. How sweet. My goodness. What am I saying? I'm a boy, and I just said how sweet while being excited about wearing matching underwear. Are you really excited? Didn't you love the Halloween party and dancing with all those boys in your pretty gown and high heels? Oh yes, Aunt Clara. It was a wonderful evening. I had an amazing time, loved the gown, and the boys were so kind. It was a fantastic costume, Aunt Clara. And so clever of you to think of such a simple yet effective disguise. And don't you enjoy wearing your new pumps with the higher heels? Blushing, yes, Auntie, very much, I'm afraid, even though I can't move or even think of myself as a boy when I wear them. Well, if you liked it so much, why not try some other pretty things? Would you like to? Oh, Aunt Clara, I don't know. I really shouldn't like these things, but I confess that I do. I love them. I adore the soft, silky items you've given me, but I don't think I should feel this way. I'm supposed to be a boy, not a girl, and these are all girls' things. Yet, I don't feel like a boy anymore. When I look in the mirror, even unclothed, I don't see Logan. I see some sort of hybrid girl staring back at me. My hips look like I should be looking forward to motherhood. I'm not sure what a boy my age should feel like, and I'm beginning to doubt if I'm even a real boy anymore or if I care at all. Here, dear, slip on these panties and tuck yourself away, then put your arms through the straps of this bra. There we go, I'm going to fasten it for you, and I want you to reach in and adjust your breasts in the cups so they look nice and your pointers are about where the seams are. Like this, Aunt Clara. I've never worn a bra before. Oh my. They look so much better, don't they? And they are breasts, aren't they? Of course, dear. You're developing the figure of a lovely young lady, and that's what bras are for, to uplift and enhance a lady's figure. Now slip your chemise back over them. I'm so confused. You've taught me so much since I've been here, and I've changed so much too. I hardly recognize myself. I had no idea a boy could develop into a girl during puberty. Look how soft I've become, my nails, my hair, the way I move and talk. My whole body is so smooth, soft, and rounded. Suddenly, it felt like a hand grenade had gone off in my mind. I realized that it was okay to feel the way I did. No, I was no longer a real boy in the traditional sense, and I had every right to enjoy my feminine things. If I had girl feelings, and I looked like a real girl as it seemed I most certainly did, then it should be perfectly acceptable to wear girl clothes. I recalled that silly expression, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. What a revelation. All right. I'll start opening the other boxes. Well, if you want to see a new you, start with that small package with the white ribbon. Oh, hose and garters. And they're so pretty too. My mom wears these. I think they're much prettier than those silly pantyhose. I agree, honey. Do you know how to put them on? I've seen her do it many times. I think I can manage. Just remember, they can be rather risque if you don't sit properly. You mustn't let boys look up your skirts and see your panties. But auntie, I've never worn a skirt. Oh, I think that's about to change, dear. I proceeded to put on the garter belt and then the hose, attaching them to the 6 garters. Now for the pink box, she said. Obediently, I opened it and found several full and half slips, along with 2 teddies, all made of satin. I took off the chemise and slipped a full slip over my head, adjusting the straps so the cups nestled around my bosom. Nestled in the cups of my completely unpadded A-cup bra, I now had to admit that I indeed had a bosom. Not much, but a very real bosom, sensitive, genuine breasts, paired with a tiny waist and flaring hips. All right, now pick any one of those hanging packages. The first one I opened revealed a beautiful wine-colored crepe dress with a full skirt, long sleeves, and a high collar. It had a slender self-belt and a back zipper. While it appeared quite conservative, the material clung to every curve, making it sexy nonetheless. I slipped it over my head and managed to get the zipper almost all the way up before Aunt Clara had to help me. I seemed to be much more limber than I used to be. Stand still, dear. You're getting quite good at dressing like a girl, but we need to add a little makeup before you see yourself. These are girls' clothes, after all, and you know you make a pretty girl. I blushed at that remark but still managed a sincere thank you. After all, I knew I did make a pretty girl after all the attention I had received at the party. Now, grab that little package over there and that oblong one. I opened the little package first, revealing a pair of lovely crystal dangle earrings. I took out my other earrings and put these on. The next box contained a pair of party pumps with 3.5 heels. They matched the dress perfectly. I slipped them on, and the fit was just right. Having danced all night in heels, I had no problem adjusting to these, even though they feminized my gait even further as I tried to walk with one foot directly in front of the other like a model. Suddenly, I felt deliciously grown up, only to realize I was feeling like a grown-up girl. I looked down at my feet and realized I had to lean over slightly to see them. My chest was in the way. The shoes were beautiful, and so was my bosom. It struck me that I was in trouble thinking about my breasts in those terms, as visions of them becoming large, full, and round flooded my mind. I even pictured that hunk Ryan Melanie caressing them with his big hands. All right, darling, go look at yourself and tell me if you still think you're a boy. I walked gracefully to the hall mirror, swinging my hips as I had been taught, which now felt completely natural. I kept my upper body still, swinging my arms with my elbows turned in slightly. The click of my heels against the hardwood floor sent a thrill through me that I wouldn't soon forget. I struggled to describe it. I knew I was too young to be having such sensual feelings. Or was I? I was acutely aware that I shouldn't be feeling these wonderful, girlish, sensual, and sexual sensations, yet I realized that these were my clothes. I could keep them and wear them at home, if not at school. Standing before the mirror was the reason I had been so popular at the party. I looked genuinely pretty, not just cute. In that dress, it was clear that I no longer had the body or face of a boy, and apparently, I didn't possess the mindset of one either, because I was thrilled by my reflection. My pert little bosom looked lovely nestled in that dress, complemented by my tiny waist and widening hips in that full-skirted outfit. This vision should have ignited excitement in my male parts, but instead, I felt the same tingling in my chest. The sensation was delightful, yet it threatened to turn my knees to jelly. I suspected Aunt Clara recognized the expression on my face and the feelings I was experiencing. I refused to feel ashamed, I was too lost in bliss. Apparently, she had experienced similar feelings on various occasions. Those were my breasts, proudly pressing against the silky fabric of my new dress, evidence of my newfound excitement. Nothing stirred in my previous pleasure center, except for those lovely little pulsing contractions that felt exquisite. That part of me seemed dormant, perhaps never to awaken again. I reached up and touched my breasts, nearly swooning. At that moment, I didn't care. I turned this way and that, and curtsied. "Oh, Aunt Clara, I'm really pretty, aren't I?" "Yes, darling. You truly are pretty. You make a lovely girl. Now, why would a pretty little thing like you want to be a boy, and for heaven's sake, why would you want to be called Logan?" "I see your point, Auntie. It doesn't fit at all, does it? How about Lila? I think that's such a lovely name." "Good choice. From now on, you shall be Lila, even when you wear slacks, because you'll want to wear your bra and a blouse over it, and perhaps some pretty shoes too, won't you?" "I'm afraid I will, Auntie. Lila is a beautiful name, and you're a very pretty girl. Now, model your other new things for me, dear." "Auntie, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'm having such a wonderful time like this. Do you think my new vitamins might have something to do with what's happened to my mind and body?" "Well, dear, that could be true. Why do you ask?" "I just love the way I'm feeling so much. Could we maybe double up on those vitamins and see?" "Of course, dear. It won't hurt you at all. We'll start that tomorrow." "What a splendid idea. We'll give you 2 shots a week from now on." I then knew for sure that Aunt Clara was behind my unusual changes, but as the saying goes, I couldn't have cared less. I was genuinely grateful. I just didn't understand why she had done it. I worked my way through 5 more outfits, each accompanied by accessories and a new pair of beautiful shoes, both flat and high-heeled opera pumps, as well as wedge-heeled sandals. They were all lovely, just like the other gifts. Aunt Clara had gotten me all kinds of lovely rings, bracelets, earrings, and hair accessories. There were skirts and blouses too, but no slacks in this collection. "I'm sure you'll want to be Lila at home, so you can wear whatever you wish. I've picked out some cute flats, sandals, high-heeled slippers, and even a bathing suit." I was, understandably, on cloud 9. I spent the rest of the day in a new dress with a full skirt, reveling in how it caressed my smooth, nylon-clad legs and how my pumps made me take delicate, feminine steps while enhancing the appearance of my calves and ankles. I knew I would have to pretend to be Logan at school, and that thought was quite unpleasant. I could no longer walk or act like him. I had become overtly feminine. My only remaining male friend was Sam, who, I regrettably admitted, was also somewhat girlish. He was an orphan living with his aging grandmother. We both hung out with the girls now, and I felt sorry for him that he hadn't transformed into a girl too, as I was so fortunate to be doing. As my best friend, he had visited my home and come to know the real me, so he no longer called me Logan either. I was Lila to him, and I was afraid he slipped up a few times in front of the girls at school. That certainly garnered a reaction, and they began calling me Lila too, as there was little left to dispute that name. I didn't know if my heart could handle all this excitement. I was afraid the mirrors in the house got quite a workout that day. I felt trapped in paradise, and I never wanted to be rescued. For the rest of Christmas vacation, I wore only dresses and skirts, paired with pretty shoes, styled my hair, and wore light makeup. Sam stopped by to see what I had received for Christmas and was completely blown away. I was certain he was jealous, which only made me feel more pity for him. Each day after that, when school resumed, I eagerly awaited the chance to get home and slip into my lovely outfits again to be my true self. What was to become of me? I was beginning to hate being a boy named Logan. Sometimes, when the teacher called for Logan, I wouldn't respond. That name just didn't resonate with me anymore. It didn't register. It wasn't that I was daydreaming or being defiant, it simply wasn't my name anymore, at least in my mind. Aunt Clara had started calling me Lila all the time now, both in and out of the house. It was a bit embarrassing when I wasn't wearing makeup or a dress, but that feeling must have been unique to me. The rest of the world seemed to see only Lila. Strangers referred to me as Miss regardless of my attire. My voice was changing, evolving into that of a mature girl. I soon realized that I had become so pretty and feminine over the summer and into the school year that it wouldn't matter if I wore a flour sack, I would still be seen as Lila. It was a wonderful feeling. People in shops called me Miss or Lila if they knew me, regardless of what I wore. Men and boys held doors open for me. I no longer had to worry about being discovered as Logan. I was Lila now. Oh my goodness. What had happened to me? Of course, Sam noticed the change, too. He stopped treating me like just another effeminate boy. He held doors open for me as well, the poor dear. I wished I could do something wonderful for him, like Aunt Clara had done for me. On January 20th, the shock of Christmas was fading, and Lila was growing not in height, but in femininity. I was starting to have significant, make that extreme, difficulties pretending to be a boy at school. I absolutely had to wear a bra all the time and paired blouses with my slacks, leaning toward androgynous yet feminine shoes. I was not passing as Logan at all, it was a cruel joke. My true nature was becoming increasingly apparent, and others responded to it and to my beauty, which seemed so out of place in a male body. I was going through a perfectly normal female puberty, yet I wasn't truly female. A few of the boys who had danced with me at the party began to approach and talk to me, relating to me as the girl I was becoming and using my now well-known feminine name. They were big and strong, while I felt small and fragile, a delicate, feminine creature. It was quite an experience to be pursued by boys, to be flirted with, and to receive the courtesies that women appreciate, like doors being held open, books and packages being carried, and rides home from school. I didn't wear makeup to school regularly, though I started using a bit of colored lip gloss that gave a lovely shine to my lips. Whether I realized it or not, I had come out as surely as if I had taken an ad in the school paper proclaiming, "Logan is dead. Long live Lila." I'm a girl now, and I had been accepted by both the boys and girls. I now had 2 good girlfriends I hung out with. I walked like a girl. I talked and giggled like a girl. My demeanor screamed girl at every turn, and I was no longer ashamed. I sang like a girl, and I looked like a girl, no matter what I did or didn't wear. My voice was pure soprano. February 28th, Logan was a distant memory. It had only been 2 months since she had gotten all the pretty things, but there was only room for one person in that little body now, and Lila wanted the space to grow, and she literally evicted Logan. And grow she did. She grew in knowledge as Aunt Clara taught her all the womanly crafts she knew, including sewing and knitting, and all about the thinking patterns of a female and how to cope with boys, although her vitamins were complementing that rather nicely too. Her boy equipment became minuscule as she was chemically castrated and mentally converted. There was no area of femininity that was left out of Lila's education. She was no longer a size 9. She was a 10, and her bosom has blossomed to a very full B cup by her 15th birthday on March 31st, and she began to delight in wearing pretty, feminine blouses to school that showed off her charms with a little pendant nestling between them, and pretty lingerie that showed through her tops and blouses. There was no longer any way that Logan could go to school or that Lila could go back to being Logan. "Auntie, I can't be Logan anymore. When I'm trying to be him, it's like I'm wearing an outsized trench coat covering up the real me. It feels horrible. I hate it." "All right, dear. Calm down. Perhaps I can do something to help." Aunt Clara had to intercede in behalf of Lila with the school board. Of course, Lila's teachers weren't blind either. Aunt Clara was a powerful woman in the community, and by the middle of April, Lila was in full bloom. Her records had been changed. She attended girls' gym and feminine hygiene classes with the rest of the girls. Lila went to school. Lila was on the honor roll. Lila was in the glee club and got a solo part with her clear and beautiful soprano voice. Lila wore pretty skirts and blouses and dresses and flats and pumps and was every bit the young lady she had become through Aunt Clara's careful coaching and nourishment of both spirit and body. Every stitch of Logan's wardrobe was given to charity. "Aunt Clara, why have I become a girl instead of a boy?" she innocently asked one day. "Do some boys just turn into girls when they begin puberty?" I was so naive. I thought all of this just happened like sometimes boys just turned into girls at puberty. What did I know? I didn't really believe the vitamins could be the cause. "Why, darling? Don't you like being a girl?" "Well, of course I like it. I love it. I adore it. It's wonderful. It's more fun than I've ever had in all my life, but how did it happen? I know I was just starting my puberty, but I'm having girl puberty instead of boy. I'm sure it has something to do with your hormone balance, dear. As long as you are happy and healthy, why worry?" "You're right, of course, Auntie, but do Mom and Dad know?" "It would be difficult for them not to know, dear. If I didn't tell them, another one of their friends certainly would." "Then they don't mind?" "It doesn't seem so, Lila. They are the ones who gave me permission to apply for a name change for you as well as a change to female on your birth certificate. I think that pretty well sums it up." "I suppose so. My heavens. Did you send them any pictures?" "Of course. They wrote back and said you were absolutely adorable, just like your mother was at your age." April 10th. "Auntie, you'll never believe it. Matt Simmons has asked me to the junior prom next month. Can you believe it?" "Of course I can believe it, dear. What boy wouldn't want to date a lovely young thing like you? You'd have to check his pulse if he didn't fancy you." "May I go, please? He's so handsome and tall and everything. The other girls are just going to die when they see me on his arm." "Yes, dear. You may go, but you have to be in by midnight. Have you decided what style of gown you want to wear?" "No. I was hoping you'd go shopping with me. I'm not very good at it yet. I need more practice, and I'm definitely not ready for a strapless, am I?" "Yes, you are, dear, and I'll be happy to help. I'm sure we won't find your dream dress right away, so we can begin shopping anytime you like. With a little padding underneath, you'll look like a movie star." "Lila, sweetie, before the prom, I think we should have a little girl talk." "About what, Auntie?" "Well, it's quite obvious that you want to be a girl now, and you have something on your body that is trying to prevent that." "What?" "Those little jelly beans between your legs. Not only do they get in the way, but they make chemicals that make your being a girl harder." "Well, can't we just get rid of them, like tonsils?" "As a matter of fact, dear, yes, and that is exactly how we can get rid of them. It will only take 10 or 15 minutes. Would you like that?" "Oh yes, Auntie. That's where my boy juice comes from, isn't it?" "Yes, dear, a lot of it." "Well, please help me lose them then, Auntie. I don't want anything interfering with my life as a girl." "All right, dear. This Wednesday after school I'll pick you up and we'll spend just a little time at the doctor's office, okay?" "Swell, Auntie. I love you. You've been so good to me, I'm going to hate to have to leave you. Auntie took me to her gynecologist and she was right, just a little snip and a few painless stitches and it was all over. Clara, I had no idea this niece of yours was really a nephew. She's gorgeous." There they went again, adults talking like we kids are not even in the room. I was a bit hesitant about this, but after seeing her, well, it would be a shame not to do this, and that little penis is ridiculous too. Whatever are you going to do about that? A bridge for crossing later, Betty, unless, of course, you have connections in that area. I just might, Rosie. By the time she graduates, she'll have lived over 3 years this way and passed the real life test. It may cost 10 or 15,000, but I'm sure you can afford that." "Of course. I'll look into it." What have you got her on now? Well, she was on a blocker, but now she'll just be getting estradiol and Premarin 1.25 twice a day. How often for the shots? Twice a week. Cut it down to once for right now. At this age, she needs all those hormones rushing around, but with the extra baggage, she won't need as much. Her mind has turned completely, hasn't it? Yes, she's all girl and loves it. Amazing what can be done if we get them soon enough, isn't it? I can't wait to see how she matures. She's pretty enough now for a fashion model. That can only get better. Well, we're all done here, young lady. Treat yourself kindly down there until you feel all healed up, Lila, and then just enjoy your new life. Come back and see me in a month for a checkup. Thank you, doctor. I do enjoy it. I just love it, I squealed. I was a bit sore on Thursday but wore a control panty and a pad and nobody ever knew it. I had to wear a napkin for a few days just in case I bled a little. Now there was a new experience. It was kind of neat having to wear a pad though, just like my other girlfriends. I didn't tell any of my girlfriends either because I wasn't ready for them to know that Logan was really dead. For some time I had been sitting to pee and it was just business as usual now. Now I might even get away with a bikini. That really would be fun this summer. I daydreamt of this hunk I had danced with, one who was still pursuing me. I could just see me lying face down on the beach. He would be undoing my straps and putting suntan lotion all over me, slowly, sensuously. Ooh, I just tingled thinking about him and that bikini. Well, it would have to wait. It was still cold outside. I could still have warm dreams though, couldn't I? It was now April and was beginning to warm up. Auntie took me on another wonderful shopping spree for summer things. It took days to find and carry it all home, and we did find the perfect prom gown. It was chiffon and lace and had a full skirt and showed off my charms deliciously with the built-in shelf in the bra and in a light mint green too, one of my favorite colors. I was lucky to have such a generous auntie and such a large walk-in closet. Now that I was 15, she got me some more pretty 3 and 3.5 heels in white and beige and cranberry to go with a new sheath mini dress. I'm afraid it was rather sexy, especially in heels. We got a white bikini that was very tantalizing and lacy satin lingerie and lightweight skirts, dresses, blouses and sundresses and rompers. I was so happy, I just wheeled around in my sandals and stood on my tiptoes and kissed her full on the mouth. "You're welcome, darling," she said. She knew what the kiss was for, the depth of what it really meant by the way it was delivered, of course. It went far beyond that shopping trip. I never saw it coming because it was so subtle, and yet, somehow, Aunt Clara had taken this ragamuffin boy and turned him into a princess. And, in the back of my mind, I just knew that Sissy had done it on purpose. It was amazing how effortless it all seemed, and now I couldn't even think like a boy anymore. It was totally impossible. My thoughts were focused on school, shopping and boys, hair, nails and clothes and more boys. I knew that I still had that little vestige of maleness about me, but it seemed so insignificant and was very easy to hide now. It would be less than 2 months until my parents were home from Europe to collect me and take me back to a neighborhood and a school where I wasn't even known. At least, that's what I thought. Logan was gone and I was legally Lila now. I could go anywhere, but did I want to? I was quite comfortable at this school and was being pursued by handsome young men. It was one night when Aunt Clara and I were sitting quietly knitting when the phone rang. It was Daddy calling from Amsterdam. "Lila, is that you?" "Yes, Daddy. I guess you didn't recognize my voice." "Well, no, sweetheart. You sound like you are growing up, different, but you certainly sound happy too. I'm sure you are having a wonderful time there, but I want you to think about something, honey. Your mother and I would like you to come over here to Holland and spend the summer with us, and we'll all come back next August. Holland is a very special place, honey, and I'm sure you would love it." "That sounds wonderful, Daddy. Of course I'll come. You work out the details with Aunt Clara, all right?" "Sure, honey. Well, take care of everything. Let me talk to her, please." "Well, Rosie, it looks like you've done quite a job with Logan. How long did it take?" You know we can't get into that right now. Just tell me. About 8 months. Well, her mother is going to be thrilled. I take it she's nearly complete. Yes. Once she comes to stay with us, we'll take care of the rest. Holland is a very gender-friendly place, and they do excellent work here too. I knew you could pull it off. You've always been a master at subtlety. I'll handle all the travel arrangements, but you'll need to take care of the passport. When she's out of school, just have her ready for the trip, all right? You'll make sure she has a nice wardrobe? Of course. She already does. Thank you, Rosie. You've been a tremendous help, and Jenna will be very grateful. We'll make it up to you. No need for that. I've really enjoyed having her here. It's been quite an unusual challenge, but also an adventure. I'm going to miss watching it all unfold. It was a lovely, perverse kind of fun. The prom in May was everything it should have been, and as a freshman girl, Lila felt on top of the world. Her dance card was full, and her date was attentive, even getting her home on time, though they did spend some time getting to know each other in the back seat of his buddy's car. Let's just say, she felt like a real girl as Matt's tongue sought hers in a deep, passionate kiss before she was politely escorted to the front door and given a proper goodnight kiss. Then came final exams, always a joy, which she passed with very acceptable grades. A few days later, she was at the airport with Aunt Clara, caught up in a tearful farewell. They had to pay extra for her baggage since there were 4 large suitcases. At only 15, she looked at least 18, thanks to her outfit and makeup. She wore a dark blue skirt suit with a skirt that ended above the knee, showcasing her full thighs, smooth knees, and calves, and the plunging neckline of both her blouse and suit jacket, combined with her push-up bra, clearly announced that she was all girl and proud of it. The young gentleman seated next to her certainly appreciated her company for the trip as well as her attire. Too bad it was on the Concorde, making the flight to London so short. Lila's connecting flight got her into Amsterdam at 5:40 p.m., and had it not been for the pictures Aunt Clara had sent, her parents might not have recognized her. To them, she was the vision they had hoped for 14 years ago when they adopted her. Jenna had wanted a girl so badly, which was understandable, considering that she had missed most of her own childhood. There were hugs, kisses, and tears of reunion as they had the porter carry her luggage to the waiting limousine. Well, Mommy, what do you think? I'm simply speechless, Lila. Your mom must have been stunning. But you are gorgeous, Mom. I think it's time you knew, honey. We adopted you when you were a year old. Your biological mother passed away during childbirth, and we wanted a baby, but I couldn't have one. So, here you are. I always wanted a little girl to dress up and spoil, but a boy was all that was available at the time, so we took him. Now tell us, how do you feel about everything that has happened to you in the last year, and where do we go from here? Mom, I don't even know how to start explaining it. Aunt Clara began to smooth out my rough edges, and it felt like one thing led to another. Then there was a Halloween party, and I was the belle of the ball. It was so much fun that I didn't want it to end, even though I felt guilty for enjoying it. But after I asked Aunt Clara to double my vitamins, things became easier for me, and I just sort of evolved into Lila. Well, darling, we have a confession to make. We like you better as our daughter anyway. Speaking of which, have you thought about what you want to do with, well, you know, the leftovers? Don't be bashful, Daddy. I'd like to pour sulfuric acid on it, but I'm sure that would be too painful. Why do you ask? Well, there's a very famous doctor here in Amsterdam named Felix Bruckner. He can remove it and leave you completely undetectable from your girlfriends. We thought if that's what you want, we can arrange it so you'll be all set to go back to school in September, complete in every way. Oh, could I, Daddy? Honey, you're choking me. Yes, we can make that happen. Now, why don't we relax? Tomorrow, we'll take you around and show you all the beautiful sights here. More tulips are shipped from here than anywhere else in the world. We'll take a boat trip through the canals. You're going to love it. Mom, you said you couldn't have a baby. I don't understand. Why is that? May I tell her? I think that's all right, darling. Lila, honey, when I was growing up, I was a lot like you, and I was very fortunate. What do you mean, Mom? I mean that I was a boy orphan too, taken in by someone who wanted a girl. That's why we put you in Aunt Clara's care. She's the one responsible for how lovely you've become. She helped you transition into a girl. Aren't we lucky, both of us, to have been cared for by such talented and devoted people? I love you, Mom and Dad. We love you too, sweetheart. We'll call Dr. Bruckner tomorrow. Daddy, I have a really sweet friend who's sort of a boy, and he's an orphan too. Do you think Aunt Clara might be willing to? She seemed to have a wonderful time helping you, honey. Do you really think your friend would want to become a girl? Oh, I'm sure he would, Daddy. When I showed him what I got for Christmas, he almost cried. Well, we'll ask her when we get home, all right? Great. I think Sam would make a really cute Samlian. He even looks a little like that X-Files star.